All right, so a random one here out of nowhere from my other account, from my personal account. And it's played, it's a 3 days a move game played, and I'm black, and I lost in the end to someone who's another former member of one of my chess clubs into their early 20s now. I made the mistake of lending them books and things years ago when they were learning, and they read them and studied them and joined a chess club and practiced and all that, and who knew, they got really, really good. And we still play and we trade wins backwards and forwards, and it's fine, it's good fun. But this game just has a particularly nice finish, and I thought it just deserved having a video made. So okay, let's have a look through. So I've done it on the analysis board. Don't worry about the red 5s over there. We're not playing any moves on those on this video. Just going to look at this game. So this person we're going to call FG, because I'm not doing full names, of course. So E4, they start with E4, C6, D4, D5. So it's Caro-Kann defense, all very standard book stuff. Knight D2 is more normal these days than Knight C3, because Knight C3 you get G6 and it's a bit complicated, so fine. Perfectly normal, perfectly normal. Knight D7. I usually don't play Knight D7. For some reason I did this time. I normally play Knight F6. And then you get 2 possibles. Knight takes and then E takes. And black's got slightly dodgy pawns, but a very safe, solid position. The bishops have got some freedom. The king will be pretty safe behind the 4 pawns. But the trade-off is you get double pawns. And occasionally I'll recapture here with the G pawn. And that's the Bronstein variation. It says Karpov, but that's the actual game is the Karpov. This is the Bronstein, completely ruining your own pawn formation. But the idea is you might be able to break in the center. You might be able to put the bishop out to these useful squares. If white castle's kingside, you can put the rook here and start attacking down the open file. You can even try throwing this pawn down the board. And black will often just castle queenside in this variation, so you don't even castle into these pawns. But anyway, today, for reasons, or today, in this game, whenever it was I played this move, probably a week ago, I just went for the Karpov variation. Fine, there's nothing wrong with it at all. And Knight Gf6, all book. Knight Eg5, you'll see what FG had in mind in a minute, is actually a mistake. But it's only a mistake if black responds in the correct way. So H6 is the right reply. You can see minus 0.56 means the computer thinks black is about half a pawn ahead, so a slight positional advantage. And this is what FG had in mind. So it's piece sacrifice. And it says it's an okay move, but you can see from the analysis it's not the best. The correct move really is Knight H3. But if you play this, black needs to know how to get out of it. And you'll see I sort of did, but didn't quite get it right. And the consequences of it. So the idea of this is that after pawn takes knight, this bishop is going to be a nightmare to try to develop because of this pawn being stuck on e7. And these white squares, this diagonal becomes really, really weak. So white does this and then has to win the game pretty quickly, because obviously if black can get untangled and just be a piece up, then they'll just be a piece up, they'll win. So all right, fine. The only way to do it is to take the pawn. You have to. Bishop d3, so straight away pointing here. If white had another move now, bishop g6 would just be checkmate. Ouch. And so queen b6, I just done to create a square for the king. So bishop g6 is no longer a mate. But actually this changes the game around. You can see the analysis that now says white's a pawn and a half ahead, even though it's a piece down, purely because of this positional goings on up here. Queen a5 actually maintains the advantage for black. Queen a5 check, and then probably c3 blocking the check, and on goes the game. g5 will be played to let the bishop out. White will castle, but then you've got the makings of an attack over here. And remember, black is then a piece up. If black can get untangled, they'll win. But unfortunately, that's where I went wrong. So bishop g6 is played, king d8. That was the point of the queen move, castles. Knight to d5, the computer doesn't like much. It thinks c4 now. If white plays c4, I'm in some bother here. So even though I'm a piece up, look at how much the computer thinks white is winning by. It should have been queen to c7, and then no great change. And the computer says that's a mistake, and it's probably White's only big mistake in the game, as it's a missed win. The computer thinks c4 actually ends up with White being a piece up. I'm not going to go deeply into the analysis, but after c4, there's a long line of moves that the computer gives that ends up with White being comfortable. But this isn't really what we're looking at in this game. It's the last move, or the final move that we want to see. So knight e5 is a mistake, and it should turn the advantage round to black. And I found the right move. Hooray. Obviously, White will recapture, but now you can see I'm doing all right here. Apart from trying to get this bishop out, black's not too bad. Black's a piece up. So king c7, so an inaccuracy. It's not a disaster, but I tell you, my idea was just to try and play probably king b8, a6, and then king a7. Just get the king castled, albeit slowly, doing it move by move by move. The computer wants to play queen a6 here. Instead of the king move, the computer wants to play queen here with the idea of playing b5 in a minute, and then bishop b7 and bringing the king to safety that way. But okay, king c7 was played. C4 is a good move. And I think here I may have made a slight mistake. Yeah, bishop d7, I decided just to let White have the knight back. And often the case when somebody gambits or sacrifices a piece, the best way to deal with it is take it, but then give it back at the right time. But the computer wants me to give it back in a different way. So instead of bishop d7, the computer wants me to put it here. Because then if pawn takes knight, pawn takes pawn, and suddenly I don't have the double pawns and my bishop can escape. So I'll have given back the piece, but my position will be a lot freer. So a mistake, bishop d7 is a mistake. C takes d5, E takes d5, but it's still not, critical. E6 is excellent. That's a clearance sacrifice because White wants to be able to point the black square bishop at my king, and at the minute this is in the way. If it was my move again here, I'd have played e6 just to stop that, I think. But White does it first. There's obviously nothing better than taking it. There's the bishop check. And the king comes back. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. Queen e2 is excellent, attacking my undefended bishop. So I put it back. Nothing wrong with that. Queen to e5. And you can see slowly but surely, black's getting untangled, that the lead is getting less. Slight mistake. Wanted me to play rook to c8, which I do in a minute, actually. Well, you'll see why. And then a4 is just an inaccuracy. You can see that turns the score to 0.00, which basically means the computer thinks the game's totally level. And I can play queen b4, I can play rook c8. Either case, 0.00 just means suddenly it's been equalized. But I miss the best move. I do play rook to c8, which is fine, but watch where I follow it up and it's wrong. Very subtle move there. At the minute, that bishop from f4 couldn't give check. Now it can, and this is really important. And I didn't spot what was going on. As you've seen, if you've seen videos on this channel, you'll know I tend to play a bit too slowly in the blitz games. But I also play normal games at the same speed, so I tend to just look at the position for a few seconds and play a move. And that's what I did here. What I played, and I'm just going to switch that to details so that you can't see what's coming. So what I played was queen to c7. You can see it's a blunder. And what I was hoping would happen would be queen takes queen, rook takes, bishop takes, king takes, and then the material is level. White would have 2 rooks and a bishop against my rook and 2 bishops, but I'd have the extra 2 pawns in the center of the board, and I thought that looked rather nice. I'd spotted that bishop h4 check. I can just put my bishop in the way, and okay, that looked absolutely fine. So I was feeling quite smug. Unfortunately, my opponent has a really, really spectacular winning move in this position that I just didn't spot. So if you want to pause the video and see if you can find it, that will probably be quite good fun. But otherwise, I'm going to go back to the report and show you the winning move. Analysis, there we go. And it's a queen sacrifice. And that pretty much ends the game. Well, what on earth is going on here? Well, if I play bishop takes queen, I'm getting checkmated by bishop to h4. So let's just show you that. Bishop h4. The only way to block this check, because the king can't go to the white squares, is bishop here. And then that is a lovely checkmate. And what else am I supposed to do? Anything else just loses material. If I play, I don't know, let's play some random move. What can I do? Bishop e7, then we just get queen takes rook. There's nothing that can be done. It just wins. You'd have to put the bishop back, and that's checkmate. I mean, there's just nothing to be done here. Yeah. So the only thing that black can do to prolong the game is create an escape square for the king, and so the best option is queen takes g3. But you can see what's going to happen here. It just isn't going to do anything. Game may have continued. Queen f6 is check. King to c7. You can't really put the bishop in the way because queen takes rook will just win anyway. So king to c7, pawn takes here. And bishop to d6, you'd probably gonna, well, it doesn't matter here now. The game's just done. You can see what's occurred. Count up the material, and white's just a queen for a bishop up. So just go back a little bit to that fantastic queen sacrifice that wins the game. Beautiful, beautiful sacrifice, and the bishop check is now going to be absolutely deadly. If bishop takes queen, bishop here, bishop here, bishop here. So yeah, I'm not afraid to share games that I've lost. I tell myself off for playing too slowly. I should have seen that coming and not played the queen blunder, but okay, who cares when it's a finish as excellent as that. Yeah, well played, FG. That was a really, really nice game. Okay, well, I'll be back at some point soon with a few more of these, that little red 5 to get played. Enjoy your chess.